Do you think we get a big fat war in the Middle East with this ISIS? I mean, they're doing dreadful things. They're cutting off the heads of Christians. They took them down to the water, I guess, so they wouldn't have much of a mess to clean up. And they cut off 21 Christians' heads. I mean, it's outrageous. Do you think we're going to end up in a big nuclear war?
That's a great question. Well, there's two things that most people don't realize about this with the Middle East. One, and this goes back to the first thing is this pattern of a very specific pattern of warning and judgment. And the second harbinger of the 9 harbingers that appeared in ancient Israel is the harbinger of the terrorist. And that is that the first warning was a strike on the land that was done by terrorists. Literally, the Assyrians who did this in ancient Israel were the fathers of terrorism. They invented it. And the thing is, ISIS is like a descendant of that. And the thing is but the pattern is, first comes this strike on the land, it's limited, it's a wake-up call. But then as if the nation doesn't turn back, after a number of years, this happened with ancient Israel, it gets re-engaged with the terrorists, and now comes an even greater calamity. Well, so I was always watching, since the harbinger, is America going to get re-engaged with another form of, or with a terrorist, with the same thing, because that's the pattern. Well, ISIS, amazingly, ISIS comes from the same exact spot that the ancient Assyrians do. This is the beginning of the harbinger pattern. They actually claim Syria and Iraq, which is ancient Assyria, the same people that brought judgment to ancient Israel. This launches the harbinger sequence. That's number one. Number two, the ancient Assyrians were known for being bloodthirsty. They mutilated people, and that's exactly what ISIS does. And the ancient Assyrians were especially known for beheading their victims and then putting them on display. And that's exactly what ISIS does. ISIS is like the reincarnation of ancient Assyria. So I believe this is ominous. And not only that, they took over Mosul, which is the capital of ancient Assyria. They now have the capital of this. So it's kind of like a replay. And when the president first announced that we're gonna have war with ISIS a little while back, it's actually just before the Shemitah began. It was the eve of 9/11, which is, I believe, is another ominous thing. So I've always been waiting to see if this is going to happen. Well, ISIS is like the return of the terrorists. So I believe this is an ominous sign, and this can lead. I mean, they are evil, and they should be stopped in whatever the case is. But to engage in all these things with America, while America is also heading rapidly away from God, is not a good formula. It's not a good combination. So I believe this is ominous. And the other thing, Greg, is there's a mystery that I put at the end of the book, the mystery of the Shemitah, which is called the mystery of the 7th Shemitah, which is going to link up with the Middle East. And that is this: every 7 years is the Shemitah, but every 7th Shemitah is a super Shemitah. 49 years ushers in the 50th year, which is called the Jubilee. And in the Jubilee, what happens, interesting, is that there is a restoration. If you lost your land, you get restored. If you lost your father's home, you get restored to your inheritance. It says everyone shall return home and they'll receive back their inheritance. Well, there's an amazing thing about end time prophecy. It says that these things can't happen until Israel, Middle East, Israel comes back to the land. The Jewish people come back to the land, or you cannot have end time prophecy. Well, the amazing thing is this mystery of the 7th Shemitah actually gives the exact time when these things have to happen. For instance, 1917 was the year of the Shemitah. In that time period, Israel is restored to the land. The British Empire gets Israel from the Turkish Empire, gives it to Israel, says return home. It's the restoration returning home. Well, if you count 70 or 7 sevens to the next 50th year or Jubilee restoration, the mystery of the Shemitah brings you to the year 1967. 1967, Israeli soldiers enter Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is restored. They come back to their ancient possession of Jerusalem, which is, still the controversy of the news. Well, the interesting thing, Greg, is that if you follow this mystery, and I'm not again saying it has to always continue, but the question is, when's the next 7th Shemitah? It is right now, 2015, and the period that would indicate, if something's going to happen, that there could be a major event in the Middle East, major war, but that results in something prophetic, is the period of September 2015 to September 2016. I'm not dogmatic, but I believe we should be aware of it. That's why, again, for the first time I put in dates. So all these things, again, are converging.